Okay, so for those of you that do not have these materials or are not able to do this experiment at home, I'm going to show you how you can do this with a couple different jars or glasses, whatever you have handy. I've got some vases, a glass cup, a mason jar. I don't know if I'll have enough oil to do as much as what I would like, but I'll see what I have here. So I already have ice cubes that are frozen. I have a couple different colors and even looks like some clear ones in there ready to go. And I have already filled all of these glasses and vases up about halfway with water. And I'm gonna pour a little bit of vegetable oil on the top of all of these, and then wait a few minutes for it to settle. And we're gonna just kind of observe what happens as I add the oil. And I think these vases that are really skinny and tall are gonna probably have the best results. I'll probably have to use the least amount of oil in those. I'm gonna start with those, make sure I have enough, and then I'll add some to the wider ones there. Okay, so watch, observe the oil here. And these, you're answering the questions as you do this. So it says, what two things happen what happened to the vegetable oil, specifically this oil, when we pour it into the water. So let's see here. Watch and see what happens. Okay. You can see it has the same results regardless of the type of container. Now that mason jar has a big surface area, so that takes a lot more vegetable oil to fill that up. So make sure I have enough here to get a good 2 inches on some of these. I think I'll have a little bit better results on these skinny ones. Definitely takes a lot more oil for those with the bigger surface area. Okay, that's the last of my vegetable oil. I kind of spread it thin between all those. So I'm giving it just kind of a few minutes to settle. You see what happened as I poured it in and then as it settled, so you can come up with 2 answers to that question. Next, it says place a few ice cubes into the vase or glass. And you're gonna have to be ready to get a picture of this. But we're gonna be watching as we put it in, and we have to observe, number 1, does the ice float or sink when we first add it to the container, and then what happens when it starts to melt and the drops of water form. So let's do, I can pop out these ice cubes. All right, I think this one's gonna be pretty good. Let's put this one up here on the top. Well, because of the shape of that jar, that ice cube's not able to float quite as much as it would like to. Let's try, we're probably gonna have the same problem in this other skinny jar. So let's try this glass here. Oh, first one starting to go. You can see what happens as the drops form. And this helps to have a lot of oil so that you can see this. Now, as this happens, also, the same thing would happen for a clear one. I'm gonna put, oh, and that clear one's not gonna fit in there. It's too tight. So it's definitely something that you wanna watch out for. I got some food coloring on my hands. You want to have a neck on your vase that's big enough for that ice to go through. You can still see this one's doing it, but it's not floating there quite much. So since it was at the bottom, it has a very short amount of drip space, where this longer one definitely works a lot better, where you can actually kind of see it. So the more vegetable oil, the better for this. Okay, so you're gonna have to take a picture capturing what happens when the ice melts and that water droplets are formed. I said you can kind of see it on all of them, but the colored ones definitely. I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. And this one's probably not enough oil, so you'll see what kind of happens with that one. Kind of takes away the fun of it because it's just sitting on top of the water and it doesn't have any oil space between the ice cube and the water. Okay, so then the last question is, over time, what happens to the water layer below the oil as the oil, as the ice melts? I'd say this vase here, this tall vase with the wide neck, is really worked out really well. And the part where I added the oil was actually a lot skinnier. So I didn't use a lot of oil, but there was enough space to put in the ice cube at the top and a long neck to be able to really see the water droplets go through the oil. You can see my mason jar. It would have worked if I would have used a lot more oil, but, and I probably could have fit more ice cubes in there also. Let's see, maybe, let's try this experiment here. Right, we're all up for experiments. What happens if I start dumping some of this extra oil into the mason jar? Think I could get that ice cube up high enough? Let's see. Well, my oil's not dumping out. To dump it all out. Oh, almost overflowed. have a little bit more space in there. Now maybe I put a little bit too much in. Allowing that to settle. Now you can see the drops a little bit more. And you can see what's happening to the water as the ice melts. Now I put 2 ice cubes in here together. One's clear and one's green, so you can kind of see the clear one dripping, but it's mixing with the green one as they both melt, so it still has a touch of green to it. It's kind of interesting to look at these droplets just kind of piling up. On top of the water. Oops. Sorry about that. That food dye makes my hands messy. So it's a lot harder to see with the clear, but you can still see it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the Ice and Oil Density Lab.